Hello everyone! Before I'm going to show you what I created in this video, some resin coasters, I first want to show you the resin that I'm going to use. And this resin is sent by me by Craft Resin, and they wanted me to review this their resin. And so first I want to show you it, and what's on the box is that it's a low viscosity resin, so that means that it's a thin resin. And what I also can read is that it has an excellent UV protection, it's odorless, no VOCs, non-flammable, non-toxic, and bubble free. So all great things. And also what's on the box is that it's curing in 24 hours. So that's very fast. And I'm very curious how thin the resin will be, because I used different resin with a low viscosity. So yeah, we will find out later. On the back of the box there are safety precautions to wear gloves. That's what I can read. And safety glasses. That's no problem for me because I always wear gloves. I always wear safety glasses, but I also wear a safety mask to prevent that I breathe in those fumes. And what's more on the box, that's a ratio of 1:1, so that's very easy to mix. I need to stir for 3 minutes and leave it to dry for 24 hours. And it has a working time of 30 minutes, so I need to work fast. And but that's no problem. I'm going to make some coasters. And then the 30 minutes is long enough to make them. So I will open it. Then we can see the bottles. So what's in the box is a pair of gloves. So that's very nice. Also a stirring stick. And of course, the resin, the A part and the B part, and there's a manual in it. How to use in different languages. And also a 10% off card. So that's really nice. So here you can, in this manual you can read how to use their resin, but I've never used it before, so I'm very curious. I'm already looking how thin it is. What I can see now is that it's not that thin. I've used a thinner resin before, but we will find out in the next part of this video. So I'm very curious how it works, and I want to thank Craft Resin for sending me their resin to review and to try out. And of course, as you all know me, I will give my honest opinion about this resin, and because I'm also very curious if there are a lot of air bubbles in it and how it mixes with the pigments. But that's later in the video, because I'm also going to show you how I mix it, how I make the colors, and then of course how I pour into the mold. So thank you so much Craft Resin for sending me your resin to try out. So now you've seen what resin I'm going to use, and now we can go to the next part of this video, in which I show you how I create 4 resin coasters with a holographic effect and a flower design. So I will see you in a minute. First I'm going to show you how I mix the resin and of course the colors. And what's also good is that on the lid of the jar there is a sticker with part A and part B, so that it's very good visible. So I start always with part B because that part is thinner than part A. I'm using 120 gram and it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so I also need 120 of part A. There you can see it on the scale. And then I'm going to mix it. I need to mix it for 3 minutes, so I speeded this part of the video. But I must say it mixes very well. And it's very clear, so that's good. Very positive. And what is on the bottle is that it's low viscosity resin, but I've used several low viscosity resins and this one isn't that thin. So I think it's between low and medium viscosity resin, but that's based on my experience with other resin. So I'm adding 30 gram into a paper cup, because what I mentioned, I want to make some nice flower coasters, and I'm going to add the flower design with 2 colors. I'm using the Resi-Tint Max Titanium White, so now we can see how well this pigment mixes into the resin. Don't use a lot of paste, only what's left on the stick, there you can see it. Then I'm going to mix it into the resin. Also that is going very well, no problems there. I'm adding a few drops of Let's Resin alcohol ink. Mixing it again. Yeah, normally when I use other resin I have a waiting time before I add the flower design. But what I'm going to do now is that for the middle part I'm not going to wait. And for the outside of the flower I'm going to wait for 10 minutes. This is another color, it's from Lures, it's the metallic purple gold. Very nice color. And again, what's left on the stirring stick, going to add into the resin. So really not that much paste. Yeah, the resin is not thin as water. And I'm adding a drop-in tint from Dip-On, and this is the 24K Color Shift Rose Pearl. Again, a few drops. Not too much. And then I'm going to mix it again. And also, no problem with these colors. So the mixing of the resin and the colors are going very easy. So now I'm going to pour a thin layer into the silicone mold. And so you can see the resin is very clear. There are some air bubbles in it, but hopefully there is a good air release in the resin. And I'm using the silicone mold from Molds and Shapes. It's a holographic round silicone mold, coaster mold. The link to their website is in the description below this video. Using my embossing tool to remove the air bubbles. But also there are not a lot of air bubbles in the resin. So that's good. I'm adding the first color, and this is the Ranger alcohol ink in the color Pearl Splendor. So what I mentioned, I don't wait. I add the alcohol right away. The second color is also from Ranger and it's the Honeycomb. So on the edge I'm adding 4 drops of this color, and the third color is also from Ranger and it's the color Wild Plum. Also 4 drops. Very nice colors. So what I mentioned, I'm going to add the colors, the flower design in the center right away. So no waiting time. I'm starting with white. I added it into a piping bag. There you can see it. Because I want to see the difference if I add it right away and after I wait for 10 minutes. And the second color that I made with the Lores metallic purple gold. So this is right after I mixed the colors. Because I want to see the difference if I have white dots on the other side of the coasters. Now with my dotting tool, make some lines, and I'm not touching the bottom of the silicone mold. Adding some heat. Yeah, I can't wait that long before I add the next part, because the working time is 35 minutes maybe. Yeah, I like it a little bit longer. So you need to work fast. So we are 10 minutes later and the resin is a little bit thicker. And now I'm going to add the rest of the flower design, starting with white. There you can see it. And hopefully there is a difference. In the end result. I expect that I have in the center some white dots on the other side of the coasters. trying to remove the thicker white dots with my dotting tool to spread it a little bit. Yeah, normally I wear a safety mask when I use resin, but in the beginning in which you saw me mix the resin and the colors, I didn't wear a safety mask because I wanted to experience what the smell was like, and I must say it doesn't smell that bad, but I always wear a safety mask even if it doesn't have a smell. Now a line of the purple color, and you can already see that the resin is thicker than in the beginning, and a white line. So the mold is not totally filled to the top because you only need a thin layer if you want to create a nice flower. Again, some heat. And hopefully in the end result we can see the difference in the middle part and the outside because of the waiting time. Now I'm going to make some lines from the outside to the inside with my dotting tool. I'm not touching the silicone mold, the bottom of the silicone mold. And I'm not making lines all the way to the center. But so far I like it. I like the resin. Yeah, maybe the working time should be a little bit longer. But yeah, for coasters, there's no problem with a working time of 35 minutes. But if you want to create a larger art piece, then it would be best if the working time was a little bit longer. And I also wouldn't use this resin for a painting, because then for me the resin is a little bit too thin. Again, heat to hopefully create some nice effects. Then I'm done with the coasters. I will let this dry and then I can take them out of the mold. So this is 1 hour after drying, and they changed a lot. I like this side very much. Some great effects. I can see it. They really look a little bit like a flower. I also love the center, and the colors go very well together. Hopefully the other side is also nice, because the other side will also have the holographic effect of the mold. There you can see the sparkle. Yeah, I'm very pleased so far. Hopefully they will dry this way. So we are 24 hours later, and now I'm going to take the coasters out of the mold. And I must say it's dried very clear, so that's great. And I don't have a problem with taking them out of the mold. I only use a heat gun or an embossing tool to remove air bubbles. But if you are interested in the Craft Resin, I will include a link to the website in the description below this video. Then you can check it out. So this side is amazing. I love the effect. But now we can take a closer look also the other side of the coasters and the difference between the center and the outside. And there you can see it. Yeah, I have some white dots in the center, but that's what I already expected because I didn't wait for the flower design. I added it right after mixing, and the outside I waited 10 minutes. Also there are some white spots. You can already see the holographic effect. Very nice. Yeah, I have still some resin left, so I will do another test in which I wait also for the center 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. But I need to watch out because I only have a working time of 35 minutes. So now a little bit closer. This is the side how I poured it. Very nice. Yeah, I'm very happy. Very clear. No air bubbles. This is the other side. There you can see I have a little bit of white dots in the center. But the outside is amazing. So this is the end result. This is the side how I poured it. And I love this side of the coasters. They do look a little bit like a flower. And what I think are the positive things about this resin is that it's drying very clear. It mixes very well. And yeah, no air bubbles. So that's great. And I think this resin is between a low viscosity and a medium viscosity, but that's based on my experience. Yeah, the only thing I would like different is the working time. It is better if the working time is a little bit longer, but yeah, I can work fast, so that's no problem for me, but for other people I think that would be a problem. And I wouldn't use this resin for a large resin painting. This is the other side, and you can see the difference. In the center I have some white dots, because I added the flower design right away. But on the edges I don't have them. Very nice effects. So overall I'm very positive about this resin. And the link to the website is in the description below this video. And I hope you liked watching this video and give me a thumbs up for it. For the people that haven't subscribed yet, consider it, because I have a lot of tutorial videos. There you can see the nice holographic effect. Yeah, I'm very happy with the end result of these coasters. It are one of my best flower coasters. So let me know in the comments below what you think of my flower coasters. All the supplies I've used in this video you can find below the video in the description. There's a lot of information in the description. I want to thank you all for watching again, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!